Um, all right, so let's jump into talking about gear because this could take a hot minute. And what I love about this group of people that I'm looking at is we've got people playing acoustic, people playing e-drums, and then different brands, different setups, and I love that stuff. So what I'm going to sandwich all these together: sticks, drums, cymbals, and if you want to toss in the kind of hardware you like, and why, like what's led you to that. Did that make sense?
Yeah. I'll go first. So cymbals, I've always used Sabian, HHX, and AAX. I think those two lines, like the AAX, are like really bright, whereas the HHX, you get more like of a harsh. They're like kind of trashy in terms of how they sound, but together, like to me, I'm like, wow, this sounds like, I think it sounds good. Drums, Gretsch Renowned Maple. I find a maple shell just has like such a powerful hit to it. Evans drum heads. I think I just saw somebody else using them one time and was like, that's what I'm gonna use. But sticks, I was on these Ahead sticks. I think they just look cool. There was it was Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion, like 1991 live DVD, and Matt Sorum was playing, and he had these like little like white tips on the black sticks, and I was like, damn, that looks so good. So
cool, yeah,
so I was like, all right, let's try those out, and they've lasted a little bit longer compared to wood sticks. But when I'm practicing, I'll usually run through like a set of 5Bs or just like a set of wood sticks, pedals and hardware, DW 9000. That's kind of what I've upgraded to. This is such an argument that I hear the odd time. It's like, oh, like people think they need like the most expensive top of the line equipment, and it's like, no, it really doesn't make or break the musician. Like, it's who's playing it. It's not like, I don't know, kind of see what I don't know. It's it's how much you put into your instruments, not like the other way around.
Yeah, you can spend $900 on a double bass pedal, but you're not going to be a better drummer because of that.
Yeah,
pedal. It's because of
there's
the
a
time
video recently where Danny Carey is like playing with these kids at like a school of rock thing on some shitty like drum set, and they're playing a Tool song. It's about the drummer, right? It's like, are you a decent drummer, or is the gear just great? Because the gear could be great, it's still gonna sound like shit if you don't know how to play it. So at the end of the day, like you just have to have some proficiency, right?
Yeah, it's never helped me stay in time better. Having good or bad
gear. There we go. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. So, but that's me.
I'll go. I've been using Pearl since 1995, and I just got lucky to be in a band where somebody had a contact, and I was able to get a Pearl endorsement for 2 years. So I had this kit made for me from Pearl. So it's all maple, and it's got the black sparkle and all black. So because I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I called it my Darth Vader set because it was all black with black hardware. So I call it the Darth Vader kit.
Awesome.
But I got to tell you, my favorite snare drum would be a 6.5 by 14 brass I'm not hand hammered snare drum that yours truly, the host of this show, made for me. What? So
we didn't talk about this ahead of time.
Now we know. Yeah, now we know why you're asking the questions you're asking, Eric. Okay.
Right.
Now it makes sense.
Definitely not meant to be a self-serving question.
Well, I had to get it in there. So the Pitbull is my favorite snare drum. As far as heads go, I run Evans, and sometimes I go with black coated. Sometimes, like right now, I'm running clears. Right now, I like the sound of the clears, so we're gonna go with those. And as far as sticks, I use the Zildjian Dennis Chambers model. But if I need like live, sometimes I'll do a little beefier stick. So I'll go with a what the hell, Vic Firth 5A. And because that's a little beefier than the Zildjian. So it just gives me a little more oomph on stage to cut through the rest of the band. And cymbals are A custom. Every one of them is made custom. And those are my favorite. Hardware is all Pearl except for my DW 9000 pedals, which I ordered the Trick, whatever that trap shot.
Drive shaft,
thing.
yeah.
Drive shaft, yes. Because I saw your video and I was having trouble with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the hell was going on with it. So like I said, oh, well, maybe if I get something like that might even out the pedals or something. So I'm hoping that it's been back ordered for 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm getting it soon. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, let me know.
That was inspired by you. So I want to let you know that. So Martin.
Yeah.
So
it's sick, yeah.
Because
there was...
And then my hi-hat stand I've had since high school, and that's a Yamaha hi-hat stand that I bought from my old drum teacher. And it still works. And I have a nice Pearl hi-hat stand, like the top of the line Pearl, but I still use this one. So, so that's my gear rundown. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Let's go with the first E kit then.
Yeah.
So I landed on Roland. Basically, I was a couple months into learning drums. I was just learning on a practice pad, and the only time I played a kit was at my teacher's place. He had Roland. He recommended I get a Roland. I landed on a Roland TD1 DMK. So probably for the first year of my channel is that kit. Awesome kit. I actually sold it privately, and it went to a young boy that was learning, which I love. It went on to somebody else that was learning to play the drums. Awesome. Because I fell in love with the Roland TD17 KVX. Module is insane. I probably don't use 10% of what the module can do, but I love the stock sounds. I've downloaded other sounds, but I'm happy with the stock sounds. But like you were saying, Eric, you just plug in. I'm the same. I particularly like the timeless sounding kits on there. So that's the kit. Sticks. I kind of seesaw between Vic Firth and as a brand I love called Collision drumsticks, but I'm currently sulking because they were supposed to contact me and they didn't call me as scheduled, so I'm sulking from Collision at the moment.
We're gonna burn their sticks, right?
Yeah.
No.
I am waiting for an Attic custom drum e-kit though, but shipping is too expensive, isn't it? Shipping would cost $1 million. So it's not worth it. As soon as he markets to the e-kit and in this country, then yeah, we'll talk, Eric.
I just for a fun side note, early on I shipped a snare to the UK way under quoted. I had no idea what I was getting into. It cost almost $300 to ship it to the United Kingdom, and and I think like the total cost on the drum was like $500. So like it was almost the cost of the drum to ship it. I work with a different shipper now. That was the post office, and they kind of, well, anyway. Wow. Sometimes
careful now.
Hope nobody. Do you work for the post office, Mike?
I don't criticize the government agencies, man. Don't do it, man.
Not live on the internet. Anyway.
Going back to Roland, I feel Roland are the Apple of the e-kit. If Apple made e-kits, it would be Roland quality. I'm happy with it.
I was thinking of an apple when you said that, and I'm like, I don't get it. But now I'm on the same page.
What are we talking? Royal Gala? What are we
Yeah.
Granny Smith? Okay. I'm with you. Who else? Who else plays drums?
None of us.
I want to hear Kelly's gear. He's got good stuff.
Well, Joey was talking about how he was lucky to be part of a band where he can get a deal. I think I'm even more lucky having my uncle. I inherited 2 sets from him. I still use the hardware that he gave me, so that's all DW stuff. Yeah. And I had a flood a couple of years ago in my basement, and I didn't know whether or not those drums had survived, so I had to go through a lot of process of trying to get them back together. So I bought a DW design kit, which is kind of like their little bit of a lower end of the DW spectrum, but they still sound amazing. So I use that setup in the studio, and then I'm starting to play live with this pop punk band. So I'm using one of the kits from my uncle to practice and play live on. So it's cool to have two different sets, one that doesn't move and then one that's always moving around. So that's the drum side. The cymbals, I started on Paiste because my uncle used Paiste, and then I went to Zildjian because I would be cracking cymbals all the time, and when I was a kid I didn't have any money. Zildjian was way more affordable and way more available, so I just used Zildjian, and really it's like you can't go wrong with any of the middle to top end cymbals. They're all going to sound great. It's just personal preference, I guess. And then I was fortunate enough when the flood did hit, now that I'm older and a little bit more financially secure and whatever, I was able to go back to Paiste because I just love the way that they kind of cut through a lot of the different frequencies and whatnot. And I just like the way they look too. They look amazing. So I was able to get a set of Paistes again. And then for sticks, I've actually been flip-flopping back and forth for a long time. I would just use 5B. Now I'm stuck on these, I don't know, I don't remember if they're 3B or 3A, but they're kind of like a hybrid between 5B and 2B, I think.
Oh,
so
cool.
the tip is a lot more thick, so you get a lot more of a rebound. So when you're playing faster stuff, especially like on the ride or whatever, I'm playing a lot of pop punk now, so it's a lot of faster stuff. You have more of a balance where your rebounds are just you can control them a lot better. So I'm really digging those three. I gotta look at. I don't know if it's 3A or 3B.
Three somethings.
Three something. Yeah. And then Martin, I agree with you as far as like you don't need the. I know I'm lucky enough to have the top of the line kind of drums, but when I'm talking about stuff like recording equipment, like mics and interfaces and whatnot, I just use like all Behringer because Behringer, I don't know, they won't admit it, but I think they just kind of basically take other people's technology and kind of like redo them and put it into their own, and that's why it's a little bit cheaper, but it sounds amazing. I think the stuff that I'm putting out right now sounds really good, and it's all through pretty low end studio quality stuff. Like I think the only thing that I really kind of spent money on was my the mics, the Audix mics. Other than that, my overheads are pretty cheap. I only mic the top of the snare drum. I don't mic the bottom. I don't mic the hi-hats. I just have two overheads and the top of the snare and the toms and the bass drum, and that's pretty much it. So like as far as recording gear, I'm pretty cheap, and it still seems to do really well. So I'm happy with it. I mean, obviously if I won the lottery or something, I'd go and get like better gear, but the bottom of the line stuff seems to be working really well.
Nice.
All right, then I will go next. I have an SJC acoustic kit maple with a 22 bass drum, and I play, like I'm switching right now between my Zildjian A Custom Dark, which I play when I record at home, and I have checked out a new brand which is Stereo Cymbals, which I use live, which are like a little bit like the Zildjian A Custom, but yeah, different. And for the sticks right now, I'm really trying to find my perfect pair yet, because I'm switching between like 5A, 5B. I like it to be like in the middle, and I also like it if it's slightly longer, so I'm like switching between like Zildjian, Big Firth. I tried some bamboo sticks, and yeah, but I haven't found the perfect one yet.
I'll go next, but I mean, I think Eric, as far as e-drums goes, is going to have much more interesting gear discussion than I am. But My kit is a little Yamaha. It's a DTX DT Express, I think it's called. It's about 10 years old probably, and really, you know, with my kit, it's just got rubber pads. You know, it's an e-kit, and then I kind of customized it by putting you know, Octobon rims, you know, hoops on the rubber pads, and then I added shells on the pads, and you know, because it's such a small little kit, I thought, well, how can I make this thing look, you know, bigger than it actually is? And I thought, well, you know, I got a lot of distance. You know, I can make the shells like really long and make them look like those Octobons or something, and maybe that'll make it look like a more substantial kit than it is. So that's kind of the story with mine. It's a pretty customized thing. And then, you know, as far as the you know, I started using Superior Drummer 3, which is you know, is a really cool piece of software, because I mean, you can buy expansion packs for it, and some of those things are really cool. I mean, like you know, they have one called Death and Darkness. That's the name of the drum kits that are in this thing, and you basically upload it into the software, and then you can have access to all these, like, I mean, that's for like death metal music essentially, but I mean, some of these kits were recorded in like empty swimming pools, and you know, and all these studios over in Europe, and all these famous, they get like Eddie Kramer and other famous producers to put some of these samples together that you can trigger. And so it's been a learning curve, but it's also been a lot of fun to kind of just play around with more or less studio quality samples and trigger those with my kit. And then my sticks are just the Vic Firths. I just use 5As. I used to, when I was taking drum lessons as a little, you know, as a youth, I had a teacher who was using these big fat sticks. They were called SD Generals. I think they were for like marching bands use them, you know, those really, really thick sticks. And I used those for a while, but then they finally broke. Once I added the hoops and the rims to my kit, I started breaking my sticks. Whereas before, I think I used one pair of sticks for like 3 years or something. You know, because everything's rubber. You know, there's nothing to.
That's economical, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my story. But Eric, I'm throwing it to you because I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for a new kit like 3-4 years ago, and I was talking to Eric Ham. He's the dude who owns eDrum Center here in the US, and he put me in touch with a guy named John Muzio, who owns Muzio Drums. And then John and I sat down and we built a kit from the ground up, like, so to my specifications, finish, hardware, sizes, shell type, everything. And then he dropped his trigger system into it. So it's like a 22 by 18 kick, and then it's like, it'd be 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 toms. I use so I have a old Iron Cobra hi-hat stand I've used forever, Gibraltar hardware, Trick Dominator pedals, which I love. I mean, they're amazing. Trick, no wonder Trick is like so back ordered. Like, their stuff is super cool. And I'm running it all through a Pearl Mimic Pro. So at the end of the day, like, I could be playing on pots and pans, and it really doesn't make a bit of difference, right? Because it's really, what are you running it through? Because like, that's going to give you the sound. So you know, the Pearl Mimic Pro is just mind blowing, the sound that comes out of it. And then the cymbals I redid a couple of years ago. I met a guy named Todd Field. He's got a company called Field Drums, and so they're all of his Halo series, and then the other ones are his Raw series. And you know, I went too from breaking sticks like yearly to breaking sticks weekly, right? Or you know, because now they're you know, legit metal cymbals, although they chew your sticks up way more than a regular metal cymbal, because they're like twice as heavy, twice as thick. They've got a triggering system built inside the two sort of layers. So like, yeah, now my sticks there's like sawdust like all over my kick drum. So I'm back to breaking sticks again. But I love the kit. I mean, you can't really see the color here, but it's a really cool kind of gradient blue color, and it just they did a nice job. So even though it doesn't make a difference that they're real shells, to me it makes a difference when I'm playing it, because it's just a lot more fun for me.
Could you describe those cymbals a bit more? Because I've looked at them
Yeah.
so many times and being like, what is going on here?
Yeah, so it's a regular, like, high quality, very heavy cymbal, but
Yeah.
then underneath it they've mounted, like, I think it's like aircraft steel or aircraft aluminum underneath it, so it's like a sandwich, and in between those two layers there's like a membrane or triggering system that's in between it.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom, you may be able to see from here, I don't know, there's like a little box attached to the bottom of every one of them, which is where the input is. So they're 360 degrees chokeable. You can do great swells and stuff on them, and it just, honestly, it just feels like hitting a real cymbal, except a much heavier, deader cymbal. So like when you hit it, you'll get some, some sort of motion back and forth, but not as much as you'll get for as long as you would get like a traditional acoustic cymbal. So yeah, it's just been a freaking blast. I love it. Like, I don't know what else I would want. Like maybe another kit similar to it, different configuration, maybe. I don't know. So that's the next part of the journey, maybe.
Cool.
Nice. That's awesome. I love to hear about what everybody else is playing. And then I've been holding on to this joke since Vanessa said she was looking for the perfect pair. If we do believe the marketing, Vic Firth makes the perfect pair.
I know.
I have not been paid to say that. Mike knows what we're talking about. I played Vic Firth for a long time. Like I played their I think 7As and SD4 combos, which were a smaller, like they had like a ball-sized head on the
Nice.
3A.
Man, it's got a nice
3A. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, it's all chewed up.
Yeah, it is, man. Seriously.
I used to the church I played at in Lexington, there was another drummer, and he'd be like, I always know when Eric's been up here because it looks like a lumberjack was up here playing. But I have so I have this medical condition where I have no sweat glands or oil glands in my skin, so my hands stay really dry a lot. So I, as a young drummer, I like tried the gloves, I tried like stick wrap, and that gave me blisters. And in the last like 6 years, I found two different brands that are working great for me. I have the ProMark Rebound, and they've got this active grip on it. And so that helps me maintain a decent grip on the stick. This is 5B. I don't use 5B often. And then I've also been playing with Scorpion Percussion's Immortal series, and they have this thing that they call their Venom grip. And it's got a tackier feel to it than the rest of the stick. And then I'll put like O'Keefe's Working Man hands on, like it's like a moisturizing lotion, and it kind of has a tacky feel to it, so I really get a good grip on the stick. But they make a stick that's 17 inches, like a 5A that's 17 inches, so it's full inch longer than the standard. And I found that when I use those, like if I'm playing something heavier, it gives me a lot more like pop into what I'm doing and stuff. But those are the two things that I work with now. I have a pair of 7As that I'm trying, because the guy that I'm playing with, some of the venues are smaller, but like big enough that I could use sticks, but maybe not quite 5A or larger. Yeah. You know what I mean? So playing with those.
Did the numbers go up? Does the stick get skinnier? Is that how it works? I don't even know.
I think it is.
7A,
I think 7A is the smallest. Right. I think, right?
7A is smallest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
3s are like a tree stump.
Yeah.
That's right.
Same with 2Bs. Two Bs are like logs.
Yeah. I feel bad like playing my drums with a set of 2Bs because I hit hard and I'm like, oh, like that's gonna cost me.
I feel sorry for your drums.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, like, so I'll just throw my stuff in there too. So behind me, I've got this Mapex Saturn Evolution, which like you were talking about being fortunate enough to have certain things like that was given to us, and which was mind blowing. And I love it. And then over in the corner here is the start of the kit that I built to go on tour with. And that's an Attic Custom Drums original kit there. And
here we go.
I did do our Christmas covers on it, but for everything else I do, I don't have enough pieces to to do what I want to do yet. So the goal is to eventually replace that, or replace the Mapex with the Attic Custom Drums with the full setup and stuff. But hardware wise, this Mapex Armory hardware is killer. I love it. I had Tama Road Pro series on the Tama kit, which is now at our church, and I think they're comparable. They're really heavyweight. They've got the 2-tiered levels to them. Super solid stuff. And then but I've played Tama going way back, and I like their hardware. I think it's real solid. I've got a Tama Iron Cobra. Everybody don't get too excited, but a 200 double pedal on there, which I liked better than the Speed Cobra 310, because something about my short feet and the long floorboard on the Speed Cobra didn't work for me. And anyway, and then a Mapex hi-hat stand over here right now, and which has been super dope. I like it, but I still think I like the Tama hi-hat stand better, which I think is an Iron Cobra 600 that I had. But eventually I want to get a 2-legged one and a little bit smoother double bass drum pedal. But anyway, that's what I'm using over here.
Nice.
But yeah, like Kelly, what you said, like when we started recording, I bought a set of mics for like $100, and somebody had given me an old Presonus. Well, I had a 4-channel Behringer. Now I have an 8-channel one, but like, and I was like, yeah, man, like if you just need mics and you can't afford like a nice set of mics, these will get the job done. And if you know how to EQ,
yeah,
and so you start playing with that stuff. And but yeah, it's amazing. Just even through GarageBand, like what I was getting, through that. And then we've been super fortunate. Like the mics were given, these are Shure PG mics. I think they were given to us. Logic Pro was given. I mean, it's crazy. And so, I mean, not that we don't spend any money in the drum edit, but last thing I'll point out is these hi-hats are Zildjian 14-inch quick beats. I bought them in like 1989, maybe 88.
That's amazing.
And
awesome.
And I've played other stuff and I got rid of them and kept coming back. I've kept these that whole time. I love them. They've got a flat cymbal on the bottom with 4 additional like holes. So the air goes, they're pretty fast and they got a real crisp, quick sound. So I've just always dug that. Anyway, I love it. There's so many different like types of drumming. And I think that everybody kind of has like, looking at everybody and thinking about our covers, like we're all playing, there might be some overlap, but we're all playing different stuff, different approaches to stuff. And I just think it's super cool. So I'm going to ask one more question before I let you beautiful people go. And that's this. I ask this of everybody when I interview them individually, but what advice would you give to somebody starting out on the drums?
Starting out on the drums or starting their YouTube channel
or both. If you've got a tip for both, we'll take it.
One word for the drums is practice. Like
don't give up.
Practice. Yeah, don't give up. YouTube channel wise, you've already got everything you need to start it. You don't need to buy a lot. Get your phone out, hit record. Done.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. Don't be shy. We will find you and we will support you.
It's almost sounded like a threat, but then it was like a good threat. We have a special set of skills. We will find you. And when we find you, we will support you. We will support you. That was a terrible Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Hey, for drums, maybe I'll stop in real quick. I would say become a singer, because you have less shit to drag around. You just show up. You show up. You have a drink, and like you're ready, right? So, no, I would say for drums, just I think it all comes down to consistency, and I think it's like less about trying to play like somebody that you really like or that you idolize, and more like just trying to be good at simple, basic stuff. Like nothing sort of turns me off faster than hearing someone on YouTube where they're trying a song that they are just out of their depths. It's like if you don't have timing, like just practice playing the AC/DC. Like practice playing Phil Rudd stuff where it's just like, 4/4 straight ahead, lock into a rhythm, and like just get good at that. And the other thing for like YouTube, and this is the other thing that drives me away from videos really quick because I just can't stick with them, is like, to me, sound is everything. Like if your kit is harsh and it's way beyond like the mix of your backing track, like if it just sounds like your drums are too present and your cymbals are too loud, like I just can't. For me, it's super distracting, right? So I'd almost rather someone who's playing on YouTube pulls their sound back a little bit and sits in the mix a little bit more of the song. Because to me, I'm not necessarily watching the YouTube video to watch you as a drummer. I'm watching the YouTube video because I want to hear this song and I want to hear how you interpret it. And I don't want you to really stand out, like the audio being too much or too loud or too harsh. I think people's audio just most times really sucks. And I think that's where like drummers have like a really easy time of it, because we can easily like make sure that the sound is good. And I get that it's like an unfair advantage, but I would say just like make sure if you can put something out there that the sound is good. It's not gonna be harsh to someone's ears, and they're gonna wanna listen to it.
For video quality, you think too, Eric?
Totally. Like, when I see portrait mode stuff, like, or like, so I'm not gonna go into any specifics, but there's drummers out there who are pretty prolific, and we're pretty prolific in updating and uploading videos, but man, they're hard to watch because like the sound is just fucking just blown out, just like blown out, and like the lights, like it just, I just want to like soak it in and enjoy your interpretation of a song, and that other stuff is just a big distraction to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, fair. I think audio is very important. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like professional studio quality, but not this harsh, overpowering sound that is just hard to hear. Yeah,
if you want someone to listen, make it listenable, I guess, is like, is sort of my take.
You're talking too much common sense, man.
That's crazy talk. Yeah,
I'm a simple man. That's it.
Cue music. No.
Yeah.
All right. What else? What other words of wisdom?
So me having a 4-year-old learning how to do all kinds of things, I've got her in swimming, and we've had her in swimming since 2. And I think for the first 1.5 years, we were like, where is this going? We're wasting our money, blah, 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 blah. Maybe we should just get her out and maybe start her later on. And as soon as we thought that, she just turned the corner and started swimming on her own. And that goes for pretty much anything. So anytime anyone ever talks to me about drums and starting to learn how to play drums, there's a set of fundamentals that I think everyone has to learn. And I think it's different for everybody. The first time I sat behind a drum set, I could play beats. And that's not, everybody's not like that. Everyone's learning curve is a little bit different. And it's just a matter of keeping on going, like what you said. I think Martin said that. Keep it on going until you find that little spark that, oh yeah, now you get it. So when you're starting off playing drums, my advice would be just keep doing the work until your body just takes over and you just start to get it. Because I remember when I was starting to play punk, I couldn't do the double bass bounce, and that was probably the one thing that I practiced the most, and it took me a good maybe 6 months for it to just click. And then once it clicked, I could do it in my sleep. So I guess for me, it's just, you might think that you're not getting anywhere, but one day it's just going to click and it's going to keep going from there.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, one piece of advice that I have is if say you're just starting out, try to find a jam buddy, like a guitarist, a bass player, a group of friends, because there's so many times where I think back to like when I was playing around with my buddies in high school, and it's like, oh, let's try this like Kiss song for the first time. It's like, oh, we kind of know how it goes, and then we just botch our way through it, come back to it every once in a while, and you'd see the progress. But like there'd be that drive that everyone, we'd want to make it better and strive towards a goal of just like furthering your skills.
Nice.
But at the same time having like the most fun with it. So yeah, that's one thing. Never lose the enjoyment. That's kind of one thing that I think is important.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say something similar. I would just say, it's there are skills you need to learn, and that can be a mundane exercise. You know what I mean? It's like doing, marching drum rudiment stuff. It may seem like that, like you said, Eric, or Kelly, you said, it just seems like this is just mundane, boring, or whatever. But I mean, I think I always tell people that are just starting out, make sure you have time set aside to do those exercises that are going to build your rudiments and your main skills, but then also set aside some time to just play a song that you've always wanted to play, or a song that you like. And and there's almost like two different types of drumming, in my mind. It's like there's the rudiments and the chops and the the technical side, but then there's applying those things to an actual song, and that's a different skill. So I think it's important to always have time where you can just, if you just want to have fun and jam, like Martin said, he'll put on some piece of music and just, try all the different tricks in his bag and see how it sounds, or try and think up a beat for this song that you've never heard before. And those things are what, keep your passion as a drummer. So if you're just starting out, make sure you set aside time to you can just clown around if you want on the kit, and then, but you're also honing those skills, to have those skills in your tool bag.
Yes, 100% agree. Yeah.
I look at drumming the same way as weightlifting. So you got to learn the fundamentals before you can go on to excel, or where you feel comfortable enough where like you don't have to think about it. So I always equate, it's all muscle memory. So I agree with Eric where I think consistency is key. Consistency of sitting down and playing, consistency of every hit being the same. Like when you go back and look at your tracks, your stems, or whatever, I want to make sure every hit looks the same. But you can see where the inconsistencies are. You go, oh, okay, next time I got to work on that or whatever. But then so if you take a rudiment and you do that 100 million times, it's boring. Absolutely. So like Mike was saying, you got to figure out, well, how do I apply this into playing? So how do I start a groove? So now let's get a groove and now throw the rudiment in the groove and make a fill out of it, or try and make the rudiment a groove itself. So you figure out how, and as you speed it up, it's got to go actually faster than the groove, because you got to get all those notes in there. So then you got to go with the subdivisions and how do you figure out all that stuff. So, but that all goes down to, as far as I'm concerned, it goes back to the basics, but then just throwing them with a metronome and just sitting there and doing the boring work, because that's the work that needs to be done in order to get you to where you want to be. And it has to be fun. And I agree. I do the same thing. I set aside that type of practice, and I do that for 15 to 20 minutes as like a warm up. And then I go on to do the fun stuff, which puts the songs on, play a song, or pick a part of the song that is driving me crazy. And then I'll sit there and spend a half an hour, 20 minutes on that. And then I record everything. And some of it is horrendous. But what I do find is occasionally you get a little piece of something and it's like, oh, that's freaking awesome. And then I take the half an hour of garbage and I just cut that little piece down. And now I have something to work on that I want to focus on and make it, super cool. And then I want to incorporate it into a drum solo somehow. So then I'm going to figure out, okay, so where all this other crap that I figured is kind of neat, and how do I transition into this part and make that cool? So that's sort of how I take the boring practice stuff and then incorporate it into like a bigger picture kind of thing.
It's cool.
So that's my advice. So there you go.
Good. I'll add to the mix real quick. Don't be afraid to fail. Especially in your practice time. The first time I played at church, the pastor said, "Thanks for your availability," which meant that was garbage, but we appreciate you being here. but there was a safe, but they allowed me to have a safe place to fail. And so there's no safer place than your little private practice room, your drum shed, whatever you've got to experiment. And don't be afraid of that hard work. Like everybody's addressed that, like it takes some effort, even when you enjoy it, to fine tune it. Don't have the microwave mentality of, okay, I bought a drum kit, I took a lesson, when do I get to be a rock star? Right? Like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid of the hard work. That would be what I'll throw into the mix. Who else has some words of wisdom? Not that I don't want to call mine words of wisdom. They were just like thoughts. You all are really, I'm learning something from you guys.
Yeah, I would also say, like, don't be afraid of getting started. Find a song which you can really like play. It can be an easy song, backbeat all the way through, but try to make it as good as possible, as groovy as possible. And when you recorded it and you think like, this is the best I can do right now, then go and upload it, and don't be afraid of the community, because the drum community is awesome. And then for the next video, just try to be a little bit better, and you will see over the years how much you will grow.
It's good.
I would say just another thing, because I know I did this a lot, and I'm sure everybody here could probably agree with your own playing. Don't be so hard on yourself. Because there's some covers I'll do and I'll get to like 80% of the way through, and I'll like miss a ride bell hit, like a small thing, and I'll be like, well, it's over, like this is done, like I can't use this one. Start over. And it's like, looking back, like there's some songs I would do like 80 times before I'd be completely happy with it. And it's like, no, like no one's gonna know. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's videos where we've all posted and be like, I guess this is good enough, and then there's something wrong with it, but go find it again. Like look for the mistake, and chances are you'll just be like, it was fun.
Well, keep in mind too, 99% of the world isn't a musician, they're not a drummer. To them, it sounds amazing. And also remember that even on YouTube, you've probably listened to that track that you made 100 times over the course of a month, and you know every little imperfection. But the person on YouTube that's watching it, they're not even going to watch your whole video. They're going to get, if you're lucky, a minute or two into your video, and they're going to, and that's usually, that could be the length of it, and they'll never go back and listen to it again. So they're not going to spot the imperfection. It's going to be, here and gone, but like, you're hard on it because you've listened to it a dozen times before you put it out. And then once it's gone out, you probably listened to it a few times. So where all the bodies are buried. But like the person listening to it doesn't know, and they don't care, and they move on with their life. So,
That's right. That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. I would say also just listen to a lot of different kind of music. I mean, it's like, even music that you don't necessarily like, you can really learn a lot of different drum parts just from listening to all different kinds of music. I mean, there's like, there's cool fills or things that, it's almost like I find out, I find myself when I'm playing something and I'm kind of ad-libbing and improvising parts to it. What I'm really doing is I'm just borrowing all these different drum parts that I've heard and I've thought were cool and learned, and you keep adding these things into your toolbox, and you know what I mean, and then you have them to like bring out and make the song your own. But in order to have those, you have to, I think, just I know it's kind of cliche, and probably most people's drum teachers told them this, but I mean, I still think you owe it to yourself to just listen to a lot of different genres of music, because there's great stuff in every genre.
It's so right, man. Because like my 6-year-old daughter, she likes very different music than I like, as you can imagine. And like I'm a metal guy through and through, and she likes these two bands. One was called Churches, it's like a pop band, right? And one is called Chain Smokers, which is like also kind of like a poppy thing. So those are two of the videos they did on my channel, and they couldn't be farther out of my zone. But man, they were like two of the funnest songs I've ever done. Like just because there's no pressure, it's poppy, you lock in, it's fun,
right.
you could kind of embellish it a bit. But so yeah, I never in a million years would have done those songs. But my 6-year-old is apparently a musical wizard, and she came up with that. So there we go. So yeah, I think that's totally true. Like play shit you wouldn't normally listen to, or that you wouldn't normally play. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It is.
The last cover I did, which I got inspired from Chad Smith, but it was a total pop disco tune. But what I find is trying to hold back on the pop songs is harder because it's easier to play through and just bash through and add stuff where it shouldn't be, and it's really fun. But for me, trying to hold back and not put all this stuff in there, I find lately is harder than trying to put it all in there. So I've been doing a lot of poppier tunes lately. I'm trying to hold back, but then I can watch myself. Sometimes I want to go, like I'm ready to crash on something, but then I pull it back because I know it's not supposed to be there. And to me, that makes me cringe in the video, but I'm like, whatever. I've done it 17 times. I'm not doing it again.
That's enough.
Oh,
That's
Joey,
good.
to have your problems, man. I wish I could. I'm not holding back anything back. I'm throwing everything out there. It is what it is. And I'm just playing simple pop songs all the time. And maybe once in a while I'll throw in a punk song, but I wish I had chops like you to hold back on, but I don't have.
Yeah.
It depends on the song. Like, you know, like serving the song. Like, so that was one thing I was gonna say. The groove pays the bills, especially if you're in a band. You cannot pretend it's a drum solo through the entire set because there's gonna be a lot of people that are pissed off at you. And you know, it's not the drum solo set, so because everybody would walk out of the place anyway, probably. So you got to serve the song, but by serving, I find by playing some of those songs and then going to play live, it sort of helps. It's like a symbiotic circle. Where like you're not overplaying live either. So you know,
probably tightens up your drumming, I would think, right? I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
But it's a live show. So I'm gonna throw spins, I'm throwing sticks. Occasionally, if I'm really upset, I'm throwing sticks at the band and the people. So
now let's talk about learning that skill, okay? You know, you gotta work on your aim.
Right? I perfected that. I
If
find
I'm
the biggest
throwing
stick in my bag and I throw it at the guitar player who's not paying attention.
if there's ever a stick thing happening, if I'm playing live, it's all unintentional and something is about to go horribly wrong. Occasionally I'll be like in the studio, you know. Well, you guys, we're gonna wrap up, but I wanted to tell you, each of you guys, that I take something away from all of your videos you're playing. I value whether we talk a lot or a little, I always enjoy and value our exchanges, either via the phone or social media. It enriches my life, and I feel like I'm a better person and a better drummer just from the connections that we've all been able to make. And I want to thank each of you guys for taking the time to come and hang out with me. I know it's later for a couple of you than others, but thank you so much. This has been a delight. This has been a great way to cap off the year for this segment on the Drum Addict.
Awesome. You guys are all awesome. Thank you. It's great seeing you.
Epic. Great time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes,
for having
and
me.
you all, if you haven't already, go subscribe to each of these individuals. I'll put all their links in the description below. Thank you guys for stopping by, and we will see you next time.
See you guys
Later.